We'll call this meeting to order. Note the presence of a quorum with all commissioners present. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome guest staff visitors present with us here this morning. First item would be approval of the agenda. Mark?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners?
I'll make that motion.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Sample approving the agenda.
Support.
Motion supported, Commissioner LaVisca. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby adopted. Next item would be citizens' public comment. Are there any comments or requests from visitors this morning? Yes, sir. And I would remind you that we will be adhering to the rules of citizens' public comment. And if you could just approach a podium and state your name.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Regina Fisher. I'm at 31761 Oriole Avenue in Aitkin. I'm here today just to, first of all, say thank you to Mike Carney and the board and Andrew Karlstrom for taking the time to put time, thought, and due diligence into the determination for the requirement of an environmental assessment worksheet for the Elm Island RV Park. My husband and I just completed our move to make Elm Island Lake our permanent home, and we are just 2 lots over from the proposed RV park. One of the things that appealed to us most about moving to the Aitkin area was everything we had heard and read on the Aitkin County website about being good stewards of the land and the lakes in the area. And in all honesty, there's probably very few people that want to live next to an RV park, but this really isn't about that. It's about the fact that not every lake is appropriate and can accommodate a large influx of people, and not every neighborhood is set up to be able to accommodate a large influx in traffic as well. As it's been laid out multiple times, this lake also has some unique nuances which require it to be handled with more thought and care than a typical lake. And as historical information has come to light on the developer of the proposed RV park not following rules and regulations in the past, we really just want to make sure that we're being good stewards and making decisions that won't have a substantial negative impact. So it's my hope and the hope of the Elm Island Lake residents that you uphold the recommendation for an environmental assessment worksheet and vote yes today to require one and ensure good stewardship of our land and our lakes. So I just thank you again for all the time and consideration. I really appreciate that the board has taken the many, many concerns and feedback from residents, and I appreciate you being here today. So
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Yep.
Is there any further public comment this morning? Yes, sir. And again, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Excuse me. Yeah, my name is Tyler Stevens. I live at 10515 306th Avenue Northwest in Princeton. My parents, Ed and Chris Stevens, own the property immediately north of the RV park that is being proposed that Regina had just made comments on. I won't take too much time here. I really echo and agree with everything that Regina had said. Really, I just want to thank the county, Andrew, Michael Kearney, taking the time. I know there was a lot of emotions at the Planning and Zoning Commission about our concerns, the potential impacts on the lake. And so we just really appreciate the time, the transparency, the communication, and just want to, come up here also to inform you guys that as I authored the petition as well as the follow-up comments, I speak on behalf of myself as well as those signing the petition and many others that you'll have a close eye here. Again, we ask, similar to as Regina, requesting that you guys move forward with the petition so we can have that appropriate assessment. We'll have a close eye on, the outcomes, assuming that, or if you guys do move forward with that assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Further public comment? Is there any further public comment here online? Yes, ma'am. If you could approach the podium, please.
Good morning. My name's Kay Despard. I live at 36882 313th Lane in Aitkin. I'm a former sobriety court Coordinator for Aitkin County, former Minnesota employee. This is my 38th year on the lake, and I'm a native. I feel like I'm a native now. We appreciate all of your consideration and that you'll review these petitions that we've presented to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. Good to see you again, by the way. Is there any further citizens' public comment this morning, either in person or remotely? And you can advise if there's anything. Last call for citizens' public comment. Hearing no further citizens' public comment, we will proceed to the consent agenda. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Westerland approving the consent agenda. Support?
I'll support that.
That motion is supported by Commissioner Carney. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Consent agenda is hereby approved. On to MCIT risk management. Richard, welcome. Richard, you can either use the podium or if you'd prefer the seat there,
Is there a preference to the board?
it's up to you.
I'll go here. I'll testify.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning, Chair and Board. My name is Richard Meehy. I'm a risk management consultant with MCIT, Minnesota County's Intergovernmental Trust. So this, every couple of years, we like to make the rounds and just get in front of our membership and kind of give a state of the state or the condition of the county and let you know how things are going. With the handout I provided, and it looks like the folks in the audience can see it at home as well too. It is not my intention to read this thing verbatim, but I'd like to kind of touch on each box. If there's something that I get into that you'd like a little more discussion on or have a question, feel free to throw it out there and I'll see if I can answer it. If I can't get one for you, I'll bring it home and get back to you as quickly as possible. So first and foremost, I want to thank April and Kathy for getting me on the agenda so quickly. And again, I appreciate your time. So just by way of either introduction or refresher, MCIT is your insurer, your insurance entity, but we are not an insurance company. Other folks off the street can't call us up and get coverage through us. We exist solely to provide coverage to our membership. We have 81 of the 87 counties. That's the number we're very comfortable with from a size and makeup. And we have approaching 500 other members, or total members, considering the various water and conservation, ag societies, historical societies, and the like. Once we get to 500, I don't anticipate there being any confetti going off. We don't have a growth motive. We don't have a profit motive. We simply exist to provide coverage to our membership. And we started in 1979 when municipalities and the public sector had difficult procuring insurance coverage. The insurance market and reinsurance market was very turbulent. So this risk pool concept started. And the concept's quite simple. We take a contribution, we invest it, we use that to pay claims. At the end of our coverage term, we like to return a dividend to our members and then rinse and repeat and do that year in and year out. So again, that's what we are. That's kind of what we aren't. What we ask of our commissioners is engagement. If you have projects or considerations that are being made, we love to get involved on the front end. As risk management consultants, we like to ride the horse looking forward. So if there's coverage concerns or conundrums that are coming into play, please get in touch with us and we can partner with you folks and try to come up with a path. We're thankful to have Aitkin County with us for 39 years. We've been around for 46, so you were one of the early adopters. And again, we appreciate the partnership, and that's really what it should feel like. All right, I'm going to jump into page 2 here and start looking at some of the stats and graphs. And what we have to do as a risk pool, we being MCIT, is our pool purchases reinsurance. So largely member funded, completely member funded. When there's a claim, we pay out of that membership contribution. If it's a catastrophic level, that's when MCIT taps into our reinsurance. The cost of reinsurance has spiked significantly in the last handful of years. So the lever that we pulled to try to keep costs down to our membership is we set that bar higher. So we set our retention number higher, meaning MCIT doesn't kick into reinsurance is as low as we used to. That helped us, MCIT, save a premium cost, which in turn helped our membership save a contribution cost. I'm going to drop down and talk about the total number of value that we are insuring. We're over $9 billion now total insured from a pool. So if we go in the not too way back machine, 2021, we were looking at 6.6. From 2021 to 2022, it went from 6.6 to 7. And now we're jumping billions at a time. So our gentle trend line is looking a little bit too much like a hockey stick. This is the state of hockey, but this is not where we like to see that show up. So again, the things that we're trying to do to keep costs down by raising retention rates on the reinsurance side, we're trying to be as creative as possible to keep numbers down for our membership. What numbers that matter to you are rates. Let's go to that box next. So property and liability, an 11% increase, workers' compensation, 4% increase. So we're quite proud of the nominal increase in workers' compensation. That is a number that the county has some pull and some skin in the game, obviously. And the properties and liability side of things, we're a little bit beholden to appraisals and the like. The cost of what goods currently are tend to be the needle mover in that category. I'll call out the dividend that was returned too. So again, a nice modest return there. It is not the concept or the philosophy of our pool to take a significant contribution, knock down the claims with it, and then give back a hefty dividend at the end of the year, at the end of the term, and make everybody feel like we won. We don't hedge on the front end. We try to be as cost effective as possible and manage those swings so we're not just hiding behind the dollars. So again, it's a strategy based philosophy there. I do want to touch on cyber and data. This is a very tricky peril that we've faced, the world has faced. Although I do get excited about it. This is one that we can combat. When we've got inclement weather on the way, when hail is coming, we don't rip the gymnastics mats off the floor and put them on the roof to save a few shingles. There's not much we can do but take it. Cyber and data through tools, education, training, initiatives, and the like, communication. These are things we can do to help drive those down. So this box is kind of a misnomer in the risk and insurance world. Risk and insurance operates on two very simple metrics: frequency and severity. How often and how bad. Typically, when things happen more, they kind of get worse. This is an interesting one because although we've had an increase in frequency, we've got the severity to drop down. So we will not take credit for this because then you have to take blame when it goes the other way. But I will say it is imperative that we are on the forefront of this and we pay attention to it when we should. When our neighbors have a ransomware claim and we hear about it, that helps us get our house in order and get our tooling up to speed. So 2024, we did not experience a ransomware claim within our membership. So that's something I'm very, very proud of. So if your IT department's sending out tricky emails internally to try to train you and educate you, be thankful for that. If you are filtering, the human firewall is the most important tool. When somebody contacts you and it doesn't look right, feel right, sound right, that's when we need to verify that through another channel. So again, we're very pleased that that's the result that we've had this year. All right, I'm on the back page now. I'll start wrapping things up. I do want to call out workers' compensation in Aitkin County specifically. This is a really wonderful box to talk about. In the work comp world, you are scored. You get a numerical rating. It's your quarterback rating. It's your slugging percentage. It's your golf index. It's a really beautiful formula. 1 is a great score. 1 is what you want to have in the working world. Aitkin's come in under that. So that's a fantastic number. That number is also very sticky. It's a 3-year average, meaning if you have a really bad year and you get several people hurt, it doesn't move the needle significantly. If you have a great year, the inverse of that is true. So it sticks with you. It's a very true metric. And you folks have started from 21 through 24 with a 0. So it's going well, and it looks like green grass is on the way as well. So congratulations on that. We thank you. The taxpayer thanks you. People that work for the county, it's a happy, healthy place to work, so we're very appreciative of that. Couple of other kind of numbers to call out, just looking at where claims numbers are coming from, claims per year and the amounts paid. My eye goes to law enforcement liability. It's high, and that's for obvious reasons. 24/7, 365 operations. So that is not an MCIT specific numerical jump there. That's just the working world there. and autos. You know, when we used to pop a deer, it wasn't that expensive. Now we've got a lot of gizmos and gadgets on the front end of those vehicles that take some time and expense to replace. So, for obvious reasons. What I will wrap up with, just some of the services and things that we want to make sure we're calling out. Employee Assistance Program, not only for county employees, but elected officials. If there are workplace tragedies, grief events, marital counseling, financial counseling, those things are all available. Also, some leadership development. So kind of an unknown or underutilized portion there. If you have somebody that's new to leadership and they have to have difficult conversations with the folks they're leading for the first time, there's some coaching and abilities there. So it's not just kind of the obvious tragedies. It's also some assistance available for coaching and development there. So I wanted to call that out. You folks have been a good steward of that. Also being a good steward of the patrol peace officer accredited training online. You folks have gotten almost a couple dozen people through that in the last handful of years. So anytime we can get more folks involved on the law enforcement side, that's just a betterment to our community. So in short, you've been a wonderful steward for a long time and a fantastic member. Your numbers are bearing fruit in that regard. I'll pause there if there are any questions that you want to throw out.
Commissioners, any comments, questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaVisca?
I'd like to, thank MCIT for the quality of service that they provide. I wish I could have MCIT for my personal insurance. I mean, have you ever met an insurance provider that gives you money back at the end of the term? Because I haven't. But aside from that, just also the free seminars of risk analysis and cyber analysis, cybersecurity, and things like that come with it. It's definitely a valuable resource for us.
We thank you for that, and that's purposeful too. We try to put our efforts into those types of things instead of putting our name on a golf tournament or a radio jingle or something like that. So appreciate those comments.
Commissioners, further comments, questions? Fortunately, unfortunately, we've had a lot of interactions with you in the last few years with the high winds, the tornadoes that went through, the county board, the fair board, the Ag Society, et cetera. And personally, and I believe I speak for our staff, you've been very nice to deal with.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we are you. We're in the club too, so it's mutually beneficial. We thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Sample.
This patrol police officer accreditation training, how does that help the county? And my question is because the state has the accreditation and our officers all have to go through that. How does this additionally help us?
Yeah, it's just getting more folks able to become accredited so that they can do the low risk traffic control, transportation, and the like. So those types of things that we're needing more skilled officers or resources in other areas. It's a volunteer clearinghouse essentially, so we can get more folks helping out with law enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I like the premise that you operate on, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We'd rather prevent a claim than to collect on a claim.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate all your seminars, your advice and directions in terms of preventing claims.
Excellent.
Commissioners, anything else? Thanks very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to Land Commissioner Dennis Thompson. DJ, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, DJ.
Morning. Talking about the insurance, I think one of those gizmos is a deer magnet because we have one truck that seems to attract them.
It's my daughter driving it.
But
Is Commissioner Kearney's daughter driving that truck?
no, but we've had 2 deer and a turkey in a year, so.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so what I had here was looking for the purchase of 2 pieces of equipment for attachments for our Bobcat. We actually have 2 Bobcats. One of them stays up at Long Lake for most of the year, and then the other one is one that our folks use out in the woods and on the ATV trails. So this was an item that was in a CIP budget at one time, and then now when I went back to look at the current capital improvement budget and plan, it was not in there. So I'm not really sure what happened to it, but it's something that at one time we had budgeted for. I did not see it in the last CIP budget, but we do have the sale of some equipment that will actually pay for the cost of this soil conditioner. So it's the replacement of an old one, and then the funds that we are using to pay for it are actually proceeds from the sale of equipment that we had on a min-bid auction here that ended probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we ended up with roughly $30,000 with 2 trucks, 2 snowmobiles, a trailer, and some other equipment that was sold. So so at this time, looking for a motion to approve the purchase of the soil conditioner and then a dozer blade. It is through Timber Equipment, through our local Bobcat dealer. They are, and it was through the government pricing as well on that. So that is what I was looking for.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Barring any comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Chair.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Carney. Is there support?
I'll support.
Then that motion supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Any further comments or discussion?
Well, my only comment is, Mr. Chair, is that with the state funding, nobody knows where we're at yet. As long as we have the money from the sale of the other equipment.
Correct. Yep.
I could support this. If we didn't, I couldn't support it.
Yep, and the money has already been received for it.
A bird in the hand.
Yep.
Good. Further comments? Not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The motion prevails. DJ, anything else?
That's basically all that I had for now.
Okay, very good. How's the campgrounds doing?
So campgrounds are going good. Revenues are slightly up from what they were last year at the end of May, and fixing some water issues at Berglund, and we got some crushed concrete coming into some of the pads to spruce those up a little bit, and so yeah, it's been a busy summer.
Cruised through the Aitkin campground here this weekend. A lot of activity.
Yes.
A lot of families having fun. It's good to see.
Yep. So
thank you, DJ.
Yep.
Thank you.
On to Environmental Services. Andrew Carlstrom, Director. Welcome, Andrew.
Yes, good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Andrew.
Andrew.
Nice haircut.
Hoorah. My barber got a little carried away.
Not at all.
So today, Commissioners, I just want to remind you that today is not a public hearing. There will be another public hearing in this process. So the title of the item is a discretionary EAW, the Elm Island Lake RV Park. On April 30th, I'm just going to go ahead and read through it, make sure I don't miss anything. On April 30th, 2025, the Minnesota EQB received a citizen's petition requesting an environmental assessment worksheet for the proposed Elm Island Lake RV Park. When a petition is filed, Minnesota Rules 4410-1100 directs the EQB to designate a responsible government unit, RGU, pursuant to Minnesota Rules 4410. EQB determined Aitkin County is that appropriate responsible government unit to decide the need for an EAW or not. The EAW committee, which is an internal working group, has no authority to decide to take action, met on May 5th and June 2nd. The committee reviewed the correspondence from concerned citizens opposed to the proposal, correspondence from the proposer, the proposed RV park site plans, as well as reviewing and discussing the citizen petition. On May 19th, the Aitkin County Planning Commission received public comments and tabled the proposal for further information and for a final decision from the county board of whether to require a discretionary EAW or not. On June 2nd, the EAW Review Committee reviewed the most recent information and plans from the proposer, discussed Minnesota rules, criteria of this project, and whether it has the potential for significant environmental effects. And finally determined recommending an EAW be ordered for the proposed Elm Island Lake RV Park. And you also have in your attachment two proposals, or two resolutions in accordance with Minnesota rule. One to direct the proposer to do an EAW and the one to deny the citizen's petition. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the citizen's petition for an EAW to be ordered in accordance with the EAW Review Committee.
And just to reiterate, as Mr. Carlstrom indicated, today is not a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
And if I may, I'd like to yield to Commissioner Carney, who serves on the Planning Commission. I believe you chair the Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Yes, sitting on the committee, we convened and we listened to the public and we listened to the applicant and came to a general consensus that there were several unanswered questions that needed to be answered. And we decided to send it to the committee for their thought of the EAW, and the same consensus came out of that committee that there's answers that are not being answered, and the committee believes that doing the EAW would answer all of the questions. So that is why the EAW was sent to this board, and to ask for support in the recommendation of an EAW be requested.
Thank you, Commissioner. At this point, I'd like to yield to the comments, questions from the other commissioners. Commissioner LaVisca.
Yeah, so I'm horrible at looking at grading maps, but what I'm gathering here is there's a pretty significant bluff from the top down to the lake from the sites.
No bluff. Steep slope.
Steep slope, no bluff.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes,
the
steep
difference.
slope.
Got to remember the difference.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Okay.
30%.
Yeah, I guess my comment would be that considering I'm always going to be in favor of expanding business and new business development. However, at the same time, in our county, one of our primary assets is our lakes and our waters. Therefore, I think I would be in favor of an EAW to make sure that we're not going to have any adverse effects on the lake.
Commissioners, further comments, questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Sample.
Stormwater pollution. Andrew, do they have the permit through the Minnesota Pollution Control?
As far as we know, not yet. They've started a stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Okay, but it's not been
Yeah, we have had,
submitted before.
not that I know of.
I've learned from a couple of my projects that
Make sure it's done.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Westerland.
So there are a lot of unanswered questions, and we need to do this the right way, and we need to move forward. So we're gonna mull over this, and who else sits on our RUG? Is it
You mean
the,
which committee? Or
which committee?
The EAW Review Committee?
Yep.
That, like I said, that's an internal, it's mostly staff.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if it was all planning and zoning, or if you had
No, we
the
have.
engineer or anybody else
Yes,
sitting on there.
yes, yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, I can mull through this as much as I can, and it's so confusing, and so, we just want to do the right thing, so I would make a motion that we approve the EAW.
Request.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Westerland
support.
Requesting the EAW, and that motion is supported by Commissioner Sample. Commissioners, further comments, questions, and/or discussion?
I have a question. How long do they have before it comes back?
There's not a time limit right now.
Okay.
Everything is on hold. Everything is on hold. A lot of times, it will take up to a year.
Okay, so
Yeah,
there's
for them
no-
to hire a contractor, professional engineers, surveyors, and
There's
to go.
no rule saying that
No,
90
it's on
days
hold
or
right now, and then
120
the
days?
time starts over again.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Last call, further discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, motion prevails. This board is requesting an EAW.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you for those who commented in our
Yes, thank you.
public comment section too. Appreciate your input. Health and Human Services, welcome. Sarah?
Morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm going to pass out the report if you don't mind.
Approach the bench.
Sidebar.
Oh, that's for Jim to see. Thanks, Sarah.
Enhance life, advancing inclusion. If you scratch that
Again, good morning. I'm here to discuss the Health and Human Services Annual Report. So every year we provide this report to the board with statistics and numbers across our Health and Human Services Department. So I thought this year would be good timing as well as in July. Hopefully in July, we'll be bringing in a mandated, non-mandated presentation as well. So this will be a good preface for you guys to have those numbers in front of you as well. So I'm just going to walk through a few of the areas, if that's okay.
Yes.
So if you start at the mental health section, those numbers have stayed pretty consistent since last year. I would say the civil commitment number went up just a little bit. It was 12 last year, 15 this year. So comprehensive reentry is an interesting section. That is our jail social worker. So that shows how many inmates he met with and how many referrals he made upon discharge or while they were in jail. So you can see that broken down to he made 15 mental health referrals, 70 chemical dependency referrals, and 20 other referrals. So some good work being done in the jail for those inmates before they're discharged. I want to talk about the financial recovery section. So you'll see a number of 20,799, and that says collected public assistance program overpayments. So what that means is in our financial programs, it could be, I'll just give an example of what that could be. It could be somebody was supposed to report their income or household size by the 8th of the month. They didn't report the changes in time, so they received an overpayment, so we would collect that back. Agency claims of 23,138. That is county paid claims that we sometimes will collect back from individuals. That could be detox bills that we will bill an individual. That could be foster care payments that we bill back to the family. So that's the amount of money we collected back on those types of things.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes, Commissioner.
Sorry to interrupt
Oh, no
you
problem.
there, Sarah. But now, like the reservation, when they get whatever, treatment, alcohol, drug, do we submit to them to get reimbursed if it's a tribal member?
I am thinking. I do not want to give the wrong answer on this. I will check on that because I'm not entirely sure. I know Carly's online, I believe. Is she, Mark?
I can tell you. She's online.
Because I know we are responsible for like detox bills and those sorts of things. I would just have to, I will check on that, Commissioner Sample, to make sure I have them
And I'm just
accurate.
curious because they have a different funding pool than we do.
Right.
And if we're providing the service and they're a band member, if we can get reimbursed for some of these costs.
Absolutely.
And there might be, and this is just a might, there might be some programs that they're providing through the reservation and we're not. So I will check on some of those things and make sure you have an accurate answer.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair?
Yes,
Maybe-
Commissioner Weston.
Maybe it depends if they live on the reservation or not. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's
Right.
probably what it boils down to.
Yeah, those, it gets so complicated between us and the tribe sometimes. I want to make sure that I have the most accurate information before I provide.
And then my follow-up question, if I may,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, is veterans. Do we submit a bill to the VA to get reimbursed if we pay for veterans treatment or any of that?
I will ask on that as well. I believe a lot of funding can go through the behavioral health fund, but veterans might qualify in a different program or a different assistance. So I will check on the difference between those two as well.
Because I know if I want to go to treatment, I can go through the VA system, or I can go out here into the
paid by,
public
right.
system.
Yeah.
And if I go out through the public system,
Right,
They bill the VA.
You
Right.
know,
yep.
they'd bill the VA. So I'm just curious, as budgets get tight,
Yeah,
if we're looking at that.
it's a very valid question. I will check on that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The last number in that area is what we collected in medical assistance estate recovery. And so what that means is we might have some medical assistance claims in which we will go after people's estates to get some of that money. That is a straight state requirement. States delegate that back to the counties to do. And so that's the amount that we have collected. However, the amount that goes directly to the county is the $67,190. The rest goes back to the state.
The 67,000 is kind of a collection fee, isn't it? For all
Right.
practical purposes.
We're
Yes.
doing all their work.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jesse Goebel's in the audience too to help me as well, so.
Jesse's doing all the state's work, yes.
I don't do the estate recovery.
Accounting department does that.
Accounting does that,
Yep,
okay,
Carly's
okay.
department does that, yep. Yep. Any other questions before I move on some other areas? Okay. WIC and those types of numbers have remained pretty much consistent. Child protection, I'll just point out that the number of kids in out-of-home placement has stayed pretty consistent. Last year, I believe we were about 41 kids in placement. We're at 38, so not much different. We're still pretty high for the small county that we have.
Yeah, Commissioner Gardy?
Your report of involving children, 294, has that gone up or gone down?
Interestingly enough, that's a good question. Last year, we had 329 reports, and this year, 294, but the same amount of kids in placement.
Yeah.
Could be more screened out reports that didn't meet criteria. Sometimes we have cases with more kids in a single
yeah.
case than we might have had last year, those types of things.
Thank you.
Yep. The other section that I think is important to point out, because we've talked about this a lot, it's a big topic in the legislature, is the waiver cases and min choices. So if you look at min choices assessments, we did 299 in 24. In 23, we did 267. So that number continues to increase. And those assessments then determine, right, their eligibility for the waiver. So it makes sense that that number, people served by disability waiver for the year, also went up to 224. Last year it was at 199.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that number continue to increase, which is the concern when they talk at the legislature that they're going to shift some of those costs back to us. That's huge because those numbers continue to increase. Our staff time continues to increase. And so that's what we're seeing in Aitkin. And that's across the state. We're seeing those numbers increasing.
And Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I go back to my question on veterans and the VA. If some of these cases are veterans that can be reimbursed by
VA.
by the VA, especially
Yep.
if the state's gonna shift more back on us.
Yep.
We shift it right back.
Yeah.
You had a similar question when Kim Larson was here. She's the waiver case manager. And typically, we always send veterans to the veterans office first, and we work with them directly. So we have very few that are on the waivered program.
I understand that.
Yep.
And I'm not by any means.
Oh, for sure.
Taking away from the hard work that our employees do, but there's a lot of times veterans don't even realize that they're entitled
Oh, true. Okay, I see what you're saying.
to the VA healthcare system. And we got a CBOT clinic in Brainerd. We got the hospital in St. Cloud with a big mental health
Yes.
and dependency clinic there. So I just want to make sure that when we have veterans, is that one of your questions on your questionnaire? Are you a veteran?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
That way we could get them with Penny and Josh down there.
Okay.
That's my only concern.
Yes, I will circle back around and see how we're asking those questions. Thank you. Any other questions on those areas before I move on to the final? So financial assistance, I think an area to point out, as we're also looking at some big federal changes potentially there, is the average of individuals receiving medical assistance. So that number has drastically reduced. Last year it was 4,568. This year we're at 3,768. The reason for that is the ending of the COVID regulations. We were under the continuous coverage where people would stay on. And then once that ended, we reviewed people as we did prior. And so then people didn't qualify for that assistance. So we saw that number decrease. With that, I will note, because of that decrease, we also did not refill a retirement in that area, knowing that our numbers were going to be low. So we chose not to refill based on the numbers being smaller.
And Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
When individuals receiving medical assistance, I know a lot of widowers from military disabled people that qualify for medical assistance, but they also qualify for TRICARE for life. And is there do we have a way where, like, we buy them a little policy that covers what TRICARE for life don't? Or do they just either all on or all off?
Mr. Chair, can I have Jesse Goebel come up to help me with that question, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I think Jesse understands where I'm going with that.
I figured I'd get
Thanks,
called
Jesse.
up for that. You're welcome. I'd like to go back to a previous question that you had. If we ask if individuals do have veteran status, and our applications all do have that, and we do communicate with Kim Larson's HCBS team when we find out that somebody is a veteran, just to make sure that we're doing coordinations. We work really well with Penny and Josh over in the Veteran Services Office, or if they're more comfortable going to another veterans group, we would definitely refer them that way as well. So rest assured, we're all kind of coordinating together. As far as medical assistance and that TRICARE, yeah, we do look at that. We actually have a system where we can put that other health insurance in, so we coordinate together. So we're the payer of last resort with medical assistance.
So TRICARE's first,
TRICARE would be first, and then we would back up where TRICARE would not fill in. And then for the HCBS, the waiver programs, or nursing home care, most of that is not covered by Medicare, TRICARE, those kinds of things. Medical assistance picks up those particular services.
Okay, but I know if they're a certain percentage disabled, then the VA picks up the whole tab.
Yep, they do. Yep, absolutely. So we'll
I
put that in just to be medical assistance would be the backup to TRICARE. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the VA. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Jesse, very much.
Thanks, Jesse.
Any other questions on financial assistance? Otherwise, I just have one more area I'm going to highlight. And as always, there's a lot of information on this. If you have questions, please let me know. But I would suggest that you keep this handy when we come in to do the mandated, non-mandated presentation, because I think it will help you kind of correlate between what programs we're serving, how many people are being served, what that looks like. So that's why I wanted to bring this in first before I did that presentation. So the last one to highlight.
Commissioner Westerland?
So Sarah, it's so hard when they're mandated services and non-mandated services, because some of them are intertwined.
Correct.
And you can't do with one without the other, it's very complicated.
Yeah, we're gonna try to bring in the high-level data that we have and show you what we can, and then if it's not all of what you're wanting, we for sure will come back in with more information. But so the only other thing is the tobacco area. I wanted to show the number of congratulate and educate and compliance checks we completed with our tobacco vendors. And I wanted to show that the number of persons that sold to underage buyers increased. So the congratulate and educate is not punitive, so that we just provide education. Last year, 6 sold, this year 9, or 2024, sorry, sold. And then when we did the compliance checks, and which is where they receive a fine, 4 sold this year and 5 last year. So so at least the education maybe worked by the time we got to the compliance checks, but still 4 sold. So that is the annual report for 2024. It's hard because then 2025 hits and things could look, but we tend to remain somewhat consistent in certain areas. Any other questions?
Very interesting, very comprehensive. Questions?
Yeah, aside from the presentation, which was great. So if we're going past that, just kind of a quick update on what happened last night with the legislature regarding.
Yes,
cost
midnight
shifts.
has come and gone.
Yep.
Yes, I was unable to see this special session, nor have I been able to look more into
We
it.
watched.
So
Have it right here.
Mark Jeffers might have it as well.
I know a lot of the cost
Got it?
shares got taken out.
No cuts.
Yep.
Health and Human Services, no cost shifts. Health and Human Services, there'll be no cost shares to the county. Child Wellbeing, PILT, there's no cut to PILT. You'll have to look at the Child Wellbeing SSIS, but it looks promising.
Yeah, it looks like there's money being allocated there.
And, yeah, and they're done. The session ends, so.
Yeah, I think there's only a few things that were still in there for Health and Human Services, but most of the major cost shifts were changed.
No major.
The one I want to check out is whether it's going to be a flat reimbursement for those min choices assessments versus that time study. That could affect us positively or could affect us negatively. So I have to kind of dive into that. I'm assuming that passed last night, but other than that, the waiver shifts are out, which was going to be huge.
Yep.
The shifts for the sex offenders that are in that program where that shift was, that's out.
Yep.
So that will positively affect our
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more. Is there
Mm-hmm.
any
No, go
mention
ahead.
in there of the what is that long name, the African American child?
Whether that's going to be delayed or not.
Right.
I haven't heard on that yet. That was a big topic.
Big cost.
Big topic. I will check on that and make sure when we come in for mandated, non-mandated, we have all that information.
Perfect. Thank you.
Or I can provide it in an email prior to if you want.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a ton of time to unpack that. I
No,
apologize.
it was a lot that happened by midnight last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else HHS related? Good report.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
pretty
Mr.
informative.
Chair, members of the board. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sarah.
Sarah.
You too.
On to facilities. Travis, Jim, welcome. You look like church ushers.
Pass the plate.
I like the guy on the right's haircut better.
I do too. But I've accepted it now. I'm kind of growing used to it. I almost wish I did it in high
We're
school.
talking about our right.
Our right,
You're
not
right.
yours.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, I sit there and I'm like, I'll give Jim props.
All right, good morning. Thank you for your time. The first thing on the agenda we have is awarding bids for the Health and Human Services remodel project. As you can see on the resolution, we have listed out each category and the city, state, where the contractor hails from, and then the bid amount. And then farther back in the packet, you will see all the bidders for every category. That is also on a sheet that is highlighted. And I will let Travis take over, talk a little bit about how the process went, talk about a little bit about the budget, and then we will answer any questions.
Yep, absolutely.
Who types all this out?
That one's Jim and April and that stuff. I think that's
Holy
Actually,
buckets. Kathleen?
John Welly. John has been very instrumental in
Good.
helping through this project, and I've asked him to kind of help out through the whole project just because he deals with contracts all the time. I don't, things like that. So no, it's been a
Nice.
team effort.
Got to call in Kevin.
It's been really nice. So
We don't call him the
Awesome.
best engineer in the state.
yeah. So with that,
Oh,
obviously,
sorry, we got sidetracked here.
no, you're good. Nope. love the questions, because honestly, the dialogue is what helps us make sure we're getting everything covered correctly. So you're right. I know Jim had shared a little quick update. We had good bid results, good interest in the project. And so that provided the budget that we're able to present today. With that, we had 60-ish bidders. I'm trying to remember if it was exactly
I know,
60
it's crazy.
on the amount of packages, especially when you look and think about that. The averages come out at 4 to 5 apiece, very heavy on the mechanical side of it. Which, again, this is a good schedule. I think targeting, working with Jim, Sarah, and the team to try to spell out a project that works well for everybody was key to make sure that there is interest so we can do this work in the fall. Try to not compete with the school rush. That kind of narrative is part of the puzzle.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yep.
How many of them 60 or so bidders were local?
2.
And out of that, how many of your generals that got that are gonna use local mom and pop shops?
So as far as the local trades that actually truly bid like, kind of Dutch's
Right.
and
Yeah.
Tom, we kind of pick on those two as kind of our 2 go-to guys. Dutch's ended up in second place, and Tom fell a little bit on the plumbing, but he is teamed up with Thielen on category 13. So he'll be doing all the hydronic work on this project,
Good.
which from a scope percentage is a big chunk of actually what you see for Thielen there.
Sure, if I might.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
is
Commissioner
how many
Carney.
of our locals?
You said Dutch came in second place. What was the difference cost?
It was a fair spread.
Was it a
Yeah.
big spread?
It's a pretty sizable
Okay,
spread.
thank
You'll
you.
see it a
That's what I
little
just
later.
want to make
Somewhere
sure.
around 40, I think.
Huh?
Somewhere around 40, I think.
40,000, okay. Thank you.
Yep. And so from there, you're right. So it's tricky. It's tough because we come from Wolf Falls. We're a small town too. And we really, really always want to make sure that we're inviting everybody, making sure they're seen. And we had really good interest right out of the gates with some names that I didn't recognize. So I had a lot of time communicating with Jim, asking, hey, who's this guy now? And where are they out of? At the end of the day, we didn't see a lot of the littler guys bidding.
Okay.
Which is okay, and a lot of them appreciated us discussing, talking the project, and getting the invite. And I know Jim was getting that feedback too.
Yeah, and actually I talked to a couple local contractors, smaller contractors that had questions. They talked to me, they looked at it. They have 3, 4, maybe 5 people total in their company, and they looked at it like, okay, if we do this, this is gonna tie up our whole winter. We can't take care of the service work for our other customers. This is a one-time project. Our customers are here. This is what keeps us going. So they talked through it. They did look at it. I think every contractor wants a chance to bid it. That's all they want. If they choose not to, or they don't get it, that's how it works out. But they just want that opportunity to look at it, and they had that opportunity.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
That was kind of my assumption, and I was gonna clarify that a lot of our local, smaller businesses, likely, it's just too big of a project for them.
Yep.
Like you said, it would tie up their whole crew for the entire winter, and it's, like you said, the chance to bid on it is probably the important part.
Yep. And the one unique thing that's tough for actually is to wrap our hands around is of the guys that do have the work, who actually have guys that live in the area. Some of these guys actually can get pretty aggressive because they say, hey, I have, there was a glazer that I had not worked with before, this Murphy Window that had bid, and they're coming up just out of Princeton, but they had guys within
Living in the
county.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
live in the
Live here.
county.
So that it's tough to say, well, hey, this is their address, but okay, well, we were aggressive because of this. Right now, Ebert's in the driver's seat with the kind of the carpentry package, and same thing. They had a couple guys up in the area. Thought, perfect job. I can park my staff there. Great. So that would be probably another question I could maybe start diving in a little bit, because it's tough for you guys to say, well, all right, these guys are in St. Cloud, but hey, heads up, they actually happen to have 2 guys that live up here, so that was a good target for them to chase this project.
On the road construction, Anderson Brothers is a good example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A multitude of people that live in this area.
Yep. The one fun one for me, and you guys know it because of this project here, Tom was able to find some work here, so it was a better discussion I got to have with Tom. We tease him a little bit about that, but it is fun. Same thing with Sean. I'd like to have seen those guys on it, but Tom or Sean knew it ahead of time. He's like, this is going to be a tough project for me to win. Knew there's going to be some
And
competition.
Holden came in very competitive.
They did. They did. They definitely wanted the project.
Well, I sat through the entire bid opening. I was close to the estimates until we got to the very end to combined.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now I'm
you're
not
all
so
over the
Now,
place.
now they lost you.
Yeah. Well, the question before the board is to approve the low bids.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Sample to set effect. Support.
Second.
Motion supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any Further discussion?
Did have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Category 6, it's not the low bidder, so just what makes them not a,
Yep, great question. So as we qualify, part of our process post-bid is, okay, bids are done, sounds great, but we need to step back and call and kind of walk and talk, especially as you hit category 6 and you look at the numbers, there's a bit of a delta there. What's up? Something doesn't look right. So we try to, want to visit with that trade. Hey, did you see the full project? You saw the prevailing wage, you saw this, you saw these components. And as Stack Brothers really wanted to keep the project, but he finally found he did have a gross error on his bid. When doing a bid, these guys are tallying up their numbers pretty quickly. He had written all his material on the back of his tally form and forgot to add that in.
okay, yep.
So he was trying to find a way to keep the project, because again, it fits well. It's a very desirable job in the market right now. So in the worst way, he was trying to see, can I just do this job for that price? One thing as a board or any of us want, we don't want somebody to take a job
And lose money.
And
And they're
lose
losing
money.
money and they're just cutting corners.
They'll just do a shady job then.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well. So
I shouldn't
last
say that.
last minute, he kind of called. I know Jim and April, I think, graciously let me change the packet a little bit. As he called last minute, and said, I just can't do it. And I said, don't take it. We'd rather withdraw your bid because you have a
it's
gross
close.
error. He submitted a letter for that. In that instance, we usually don't go after bid security.
Maybe a little under.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was an honest mistake.
yeah, that's kind of what I was assuming, is there was some mix-up in the bid, so.
Yep. So
appreciate that.
then we default back to the second guy. Then we start the process again and continue vetting him out. And yes, those guys are very excited to take on this project.
Okay.
And having experienced many times both construction management, your firm, or a general contractor, I by far prefer this. And you guys have done a great job. I'll say that publicly.
Yep, sure, appreciate it. And appreciate the opportunity to do it for you guys, because I come out of the GC side, so I do see that side. And you're right, in that setting, we would probably say, too bad you're taking this bid, and we would force that hand. And it would cause problems later on.
Yep.
Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, you're requesting us to approve the low bids. Before I do that, how far over or under budget are we?
We are almost spot on with the budget.
Because I see what we were 55.764, and you're looking at 5.9.
Yep, and I'm not sure if the full budget was in that packet or not.
Yeah, there should be.
If we scroll to that, because yes, let's walk and talk through
This
this.
is the sheet I'm reading off right
Yep,
here,
yep,
if you
yep.
go down to the bottom.
Perfect, yep, so if you scroll down to the green there a little bit.
So you're looking at 5.7 was the projected,
Yep, so that was
5.9.
And that was at,
Yep. So the columns at the top, it's kind of tough to see, but it's if you recall, it's kind of a progression.
Yeah.
So 5.7 was kind of that initial budget. Here's where we think we're at. Do we have it all? Does this look right? And then as we get further into the drawing set, part of our process is to re-estimate this and say, does this look
5.9
right?
then?
That's where we came in at that 5.98 number. And then, so that's right prior to bid. That's where we think the number should hit, about 5.98. We finished the bid process and then put in all the contractors, and we're right at that 5.93.
5.936, so you're under what your projected was, so.
And that does leave a little of the contingency. We didn't touch a few of those, we left it a little higher yet, because traditionally during bid, we'll leave that a touch higher just to make sure we got a little coverage, a little buffer there. In visiting with Jim and Sarah, we didn't want to quite wipe that all out, because the bottom part of the budget that you see here, kind of these owner items where we're doing the technology, the FF&E, that's a hard one for the team to wrangle in. So we want to make sure we get those pieces all correct as Chris dives into IT, like, oh shoot, we need a little bit more of this.
Right.
So we left that a hair higher just to make sure we could supplement the bottom.
Okay.
of the
And just to
budget.
clarify, this is not the entire project. There is still more to come, and that'll be more discretionary. And that could, hopefully, very likely, come in under budget, because the county has negotiating power.
yep, so everything you're seeing on the bottom part of that budget, those are all owner supplied items. And so that's where we can really dive into the technology piece of it, and the furniture are the two big items left down there. And those are, once we select a furniture contractor, then we can really dive into that, and we can tailor that to fit our needs. And we can watch that budget much closer than you can on bids, because we have the negotiating power with that side of it.
Further discussion? Not, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Great job.
Yeah,
Good
appreciate
job,
it,
guys. Thanks.
Appreciate all
Travis.
the work.
Nope, look forward to.
And Jim.
On to 7B.
All right.
We're not done with Jim yet.
All right. Next one up is resolution for the re-roof of, mostly it's the jail, the old courthouse, now judicial center, a small piece on HHS, and the land department building. If you go to the bid tab, up there you can see we had the 5 bidders. There was 2 of them that were very close. Our estimate was 400, or our estimate was 640,000 is what the project was gonna cost. You can see, for a total, there was 2 of them right there. One was at 631, one was at 643. Another one was a little higher at 689. Highest one is 719. And then we had the low bid at 468, 393.
How did that work?
So that raises questions. Why are you so much lower? So right after the bid opening, Katie from Widseth was here for the bid opening. On her way back to Hibbing, she got on the phone, called up the owner of the company, said, hey, you were low bid, you were considerably low. Why? What's going on?
Right.
So the gal that owns the company said, we're very confident in our number. We had our senior estimator on the project. It just so happens they have another job currently going on in the area. They have another job that's gonna start after this one completes in the area. So it just happened to fit into their schedule. They can just leave their crews right in the area. They can take care of this project, and so they were very confident in their numbers, so.
Every once in a while, we get lucky.
We get lucky.
Where are they from?
They are out of Hutchinson.
Oh, Hutchinson, okay.
Yep. And so Katie had sent a letter. There's a letter in the packet saying that they had vetted them out. Everything was good. After our last facilities meeting, talking with John Welly, he had mentioned, he said, these numbers came in really well. This is a company that, actually I had gotten on the phone with Travis. I had talked to him. Have you ever heard of this company? Nobody had really heard of them before. But like I said, Widseth has done their homework. They feel very confident in them. But John Welly suggested, he said on road projects, he said, we have an inspector that is on the project the whole time, every single day. He said, what if we hired an inspector since we've got, a little extra money from what the budget was? So I reached out to Travis, I reached out to Widseth to see who they've used in the past. After a couple days, they both came back with Braun Intertech as the company that they have used on other projects to inspect. I reached out to them just to get an estimate what it would be. So with their inspection, this is estimated to be around a month project. And they would be on site about 2 times a week. And Widseth will be on site 1 to 2 times a week, so that would give us an inspector pretty much the full time. And their price was $14,100, I believe. Yeah, 14,100 to do that. So, and that's something, talking to John Welly, he said that's under the 25,000. He said, just bring it up with the board, make sure everybody is okay with it, but that's a contract that John said he can sign. But I think with that, the thing to inspect, myself, April, and 3 commissioners, we can go up, we can tear the roof off, anybody can do that. Anybody can fasten the insulation down, put the board down, anybody can lay the rubber down. It's the detail work around the drains, around the edges, the flashing, all that. That's where your leaks happen on a flat roof. Sure. So that's the part that they would focus on, making sure that we're getting a good project. And then it also would give me a resource that as I'm here every day, I can take pictures. I have somebody I can send these pictures to. Hey, is this the way this is supposed to be done? Making sure it's done right. So that is something that we are, we've been looking at, so.
Commissioner Westerland?
So Jim, you said Winseth, Travis, and Braun. Who gets the $14,000 then? The
Braun. Yep, that's their inspection fee.
They're,
Travis was,
He's
just,
here anyway.
he's just on the call list. Yeah. Yeah, and the inspection that Widseth does is part of their initial contract.
I'm just saying, I don't know if they split that 14,000
Nope.
or.
Nope.
Doesn't seem fair.
No, Travis just did it because he likes to talk to me.
Okay, oh, yeah.
And coming in 172 under.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
That's
Well, the question before the board is to award the bid.
I'll make a motion to,
Motion set effect, Commissioner Westerland. Support?
Support.
Motion supported, Commissioner Labiska. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Bid is
Job.
officially awarded.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Travis.
Just a quick note, I was listening online with, when you were talking to, getting the MCIT. Great company to work with. I've worked with them several times. They, an issue happens and somebody instantly calls me and we have face-to-face conversations about this. It's not, it's not somebody you've never heard of or anything. It's, they've been very good to work with, so.
that's why they're not a regular insurance company.
Yeah, nope, that, they do a good job, so.
Yes, they
Thank you.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. On to economic development. Mark?
Oh, thank you.
What are you doing
Commissioners. Just one thing from economic development, we do have a number of grants that our Economic Development Committee have recommended to approve for the Business Development and Recreation Grant. There is one more round that will come through after this. We had our meeting and then the dates of the final dates of the grant allowed a couple more to come in, so we'll have one more round of these. But Palisade Events Committee, Jaques Arts Center, Tamarack Activities Club, and Hill City Events Committee were all recommended by the board to be approved for the Business Development and Recreation Grant. So I am requesting approval to award those grants to the four.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Commissioner Carney?
I'll make that motion, sir.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Carney. Support?
Support.
Motion supported, Commissioner Sample. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Mark, on the business development one, is there still grants out there that they're funding available for business development, like signage and painting and all of that? Is that fund still available or it's all gone?
Yeah, well, the fund is still there. We do not currently have an active grant out there.
Okay.
I could bring that agenda up as an item with the committee to see if we want to open that back up.
Oh, okay.
But we do have some ARPA dollars that have been set aside for that, but it's not an active grant at this
Okay.
point.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Kind of along that line, there's been a lot of good press on the Tamarack School.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tamarack Learning Center is open.
The little daycare.
The Child Care Center, 49 childcare slots. And with the pictures that I think you guys have seen, I know Commissioner Sample's been out and I don't know if you've been in the building yet, but the difference between a 100-year-old building that was,
Difference of night and day.
Yeah.
it was pretty depleted, and now they've restored it and doing well on staffing.
On
and-
Lakeland News. one
It
day.
was,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Last week
I
over
had breakfast with the mayor, Tamarack, and some of the other people. And I think it created 4 or 5 new jobs
Yep.
at
Correct.
the center.
Remember back when discussion that began and there was some rocky roads, but
Yeah.
the end product is very impressive.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it was good. So we'll continue that. That's one step for childcare. We're not done yet with childcare economic development, but we'll continue that. Just switching to administration type updates, quick, not very much there. Just a reminder for you, June 18th. I think you guys are all signed up who are going to the District 1 meeting for AMC. I did see, and I'm sure you saw that too, AMC has released the comprehensive summary of
They
what
should.
happened
Yes, they
yesterday at the
AIS,
legislation.
anything on that?
They took a 10% hit.
Yeah, hit.
So I'll
Better
go
than
through
50,
it.
I guess.
Yes.
If you'll allow me, I'll go through it today and
Yeah,
give you some
great.
highlights of even what AMC is saying on there, so you guys
bet.
can see what that's about, so.
Go for it.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's out there. I am going to attend the Long Lake Conservation Center Foundation meeting next week. I know that there's a couple of invites for commissioners, so if you're gonna attend, I will be there. Interested in learning what the foundation is doing about fundraising and helping with that project. So I will be attending that.
Now, that is on the 14th?
That is 16th.
That's 16th, right?
Yes.
That's after, now remember, the Long Lake Fair that they have every year is the 14th at 1 to 5.
Yes.
Yeah, the 16th. And if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
My concern is that they got funding for this outdoor
School for All.
Yep.
Correct.
I'm worried that they're gonna take that and just back away from their fundraising. We got to keep pressure on them that they have to keep raising money, that we're not Smiley Finance.
I agree with Commissioner Sample on this, as we both sat on the board of the Forestry, thank you, that encompasses Long Lake. And I think one of the major items of concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we feel that when they get the monies, their first trend to do is give grants to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They give grants to schools to get more people in. Right? Well, they're given the money that's been allocated for them to run the business, and then they're diverting that funding for grants. Now, if these schools want the kids and the parents want the kids from the metropolis area to come, there is an incurred cost. But every time Aitkin County is absorbing that cost. And we want to make sure, and when we go to this meeting, to put forth our view on this, that, hey, you've been granted funding to run your operation, not to transfer that funding for grants and scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to make it clear that the county board is not going to continue to be the feeding trough.
And
as
isn't that the foundation's realm?
Right.
Is to give the grants from the foundation money, not,
But now they've got this money from the
oh,
state.
they got the foundation got the
Well,
money?
no, that funding
No.
will come to, correct me
Okay,
if I'm wrong,
that's what
Mark.
I thought.
That funding from the state will go to the foundation,
And how
not to
much
the
was
county.
it?
I think directly to Long Lake.
It goes directly to Long Lake, yeah.
How
so
much was it?
I'm not sure of that number.
Is
at
that,
this
is
point.
Yeah,
that,
I didn't
okay,
see a
for
number.
clarification, is that funding going to the county, Long Lake, or is that going to the foundation
No,
at Long Lake?
foundation
Long
is
Lake,
totally
Per se.
separate.
It should be Long Lake directly, which would be us.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, then we have,
Clarified.
okay, please do, because I think that's one of our major concerns.
Yeah, my major concern is I have been there and heard, and
Yeah,
Commissioner
absolutely.
Kearney, you were there,
Yeah.
when the director said, well, I don't care if we operate in the red.
Right.
Because we're always picking up the slack.
Because they know that we're Smiley Finance. We're gonna pick up the tab. And we can't afford to do that anymore.
Not now.
So, some points we
Understood.
want to talk about before we go to the meeting, yeah?
Yep, understood.
I'll
for
be
sure.
there
Thank you.
too.
Yeah,
And the DJ
Time is it?
may want to include him.
on the 16th.
DJ.
Yeah, we'll talk with DJ.
Monday.
Tomorrow, you guys are all back again tomorrow, so enjoy that. And I think that's it from county administration updates. We do continue to send you the weekly updates of the stuff we're talking about as a team. If there's any questions with that, please let us know and comments, and we'll go from there. But thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Sir, Chair, I do have one question for Mark. Could you give us a time on the 16th?
I can, yeah, I will. I'll look that up here and send it to you.
Excellent, thank you.
On to Commissioner Committee reports, updates. Who wants to go first?
I'm quick and short. I don't have anything to report. All my committee meetings are starting after this meeting.
Thanks, Commissioner.
And mine are real short too. All of mine were canceled because they were all waiting to see AIS was
Budget, yeah.
canceled or waiting to see how the budget was gonna come out. Forestry was canceled.
Yeah.
Airport was canceled. So
They're all out fishing.
Yeah.
they're all out waiting to see how much money they get.
Okay, I just had, Lakes and Pines, we just went over a big thing that, not Lakes and Pines, I'm sorry, I've got that this next week. Jet, they just went over, they're putting in for some grants and getting geared up to provide services for the layoffs up in the mines. They're preparing for that big influx of helping people get back to work. And the good thing about that is they've got a lot of experience. I think early 2000s, they had a massive layoff up there. And they were the main provider of getting people back into work and getting them trained into to other things or back into the same line, and that'll be a good project for them. And then library board, we're just gonna be starting working into budgeting. It seems that the JPA isn't really going anywhere, because you're not gonna have a shift that helps one county is gonna hurt another. So there's
Right.
not gonna be a lot of movement there, I don't think. So it's all gonna be budgetary, what we need to keep an eye on. The nice thing out of the legislature is they did not see a cut in library system funding from the state. So, no, I don't believe there's any increase, but there's not a cut, which is what they were.
That was a
waiting to see.
tremendous threat.
Yeah, yeah, and that would have hurt us substantially with I'm sure we're gonna have another tax base increase this next year, which is gonna look on their budget. So that's all I had this week.
Okay, thanks, Travis. Lori?
Yeah, I had, I met with, Amy Wyant at CARE, signed a bunch of checks to keep our mobility work going. We just ordered 2 more vehicles, just regular vans, not the, wheelchair van. Oh my gosh. Public Health met last week. Great meeting. A lot of information. We had Kelly come in and talk about the same stuff with the opioid settlement. Hannah Colby was here, and we were all a little early, so I made sure these guys all have the website. They need to go to the findfoodaikencounty.org. Lynn Jacobs is opening, I don't know if it's public or not. She's gonna be opening the McGregor Food Shelf.
It is now.
Any support we can give those folks, volunteering, whatever she needs. She is a mover and a shaker, and I'm so glad she's doing this. She is just the best.
Yeah, Sharon Brugman's closed and the one down.
Yeah,
and
well, they've done it
retiring.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I
20-some
remember
years.
15, 16 years ago, I was over there helping. So anyway, we just did a lot of presentations, went through some of the billing, and just waiting for some of the stuff too to show up what the legislator's gonna do with public health. I did give a statement to Aaron. I can't remember what that was gonna be for. Basically, it's just for public health. What I think about public health and what I, because I've been on the community health board forever. I don't know if I have that on here. Anyway, I can send you guys a copy of kind of the statement that I made about it. SHAC did not meet, which is the State Community Health Services Advisory Committee. It's just been kind of a standstill for a lot of stuff going on for public health and for Health and Human Services. So, I mean, I have a lot of information, but most of it is committees on their updates for each county, Itasca, Cooch, and Aitkin. A lot of good work being done by these folks, and we really don't want them to cut us, so. Anyway, otherwise, I'm just, I don't know, running around, going to township meetings and trying not to have my road tired, but I guess that's the way it's gonna go. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Miss Lori. With the timing of meetings and rescheduling, I don't know if I mentioned, but the airport runway bids came in very, very favorable. Way under. So that was great news. We don't have to tap into our con funds to make up the gap. And Lori, you had mentioned Aitkin County Care and the vans. And not this last one, but 2 meetings ago, the HHS advisory, Amy Wyant, gave an update. And the hoops that she had to go through.
Oh my God,
with
it's
it,
incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's not over.
No. It's unbelievable, the bureaucracy. But she doing a great job. I happen to see her in the grocery store, which is kind of my social life, but I said, Amy, based on your presentation and what you've gone through, if I had a multi-million-dollar corporation, I would name you as the CEO. Just doing a tremendous job. And tomorrow's, drum roll, the big day for interviews for administrator. I believe we've got 3, as far as I know, that have confirmed to show up. And what time is that meeting? 9:45?
That's when we're
Yes.
here, yeah.
We convene at 9:45? Very good. I don't have anything else unless, Chris, Mark, anybody has anything else to report? April? Well, thanks. Why is it with this interim management team, the meetings get shorter and shorter? I don't know, maybe we can defer for a couple more months. Just kidding. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Westerland to adjourn.
Support.
Supported Commissioner LaVisca. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. This meeting is hereby